It's like, oh God, no, what am I doing?
Yeah, bro, all the time. And the worst thing is, I don't even have my Twitter notifications on, so I'll open it without even getting notifications. It's kind of like an addiction at this point. It's weird to
Yeah,
kind of admit it. It's kind of weird to admit it out loud too. When I say it, I sound crazy, but I know everybody does it.
yeah, no, we all the same for real. Okay, if you had two sentences to tell me what kind of an artist you are, how would you describe yourself?
Oh God. Uh, hmm.
You have
I'm
to think about
unapologetic.
it.
Okay, I'm unapologetically myself, and I use everything that could be considered a weakness, and I try to turn it in my favor. I guess I could say those two sentences would describe me the best.
Okay, cool, cool. That I like that. That's a good answer. What's your favorite thing about being an artist today?
Today, oh, I think like today there's so many options, bro. Like I used to read up stories about like people like Shepard Fairey and like Banksy and the things that they used to have to do just to get attention. And
Mhm.
when I would read it, I'd be like, damn, that's a lot of work. I don't even think I would do all of that just to get, noticed as an artist. But it's like now I can just put up a post from my bedroom and boom, make a bunch of money the same day. I don't think you could have done that back in the day. Also I think it's like cool. It's a lot more cool to connect with the people that like your work so like quickly and like just talk to them and stuff. I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the technology's sped up the whole process of like officially being an artist rather than like making art because anyone has always been able to just make art, but it really is like streamlined the idea of being an artist, giving us so many more options. So it's sick to see.
Yeah, one thing I noticed with that too is like what w- um I remember like not a few years ago, but way back, you had to kind of prove yourself as an artist, and you had to like be technically skilled and have like all these types of skills to be considered like a actual artist, right? But I feel like now it's so cool because as long as the work looks cool, it doesn't matter what you did to make it. It doesn't matter how you made it. It doesn't matter like if you went to school for it. It doesn't like none of that matters as long as it looks cool, which I think is like the sickest part because there's no type of elitism to posting and like sharing your work nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. It creates a really interesting and like liberating dynamic for artists to see like true masterpieces go up right next to like something that's kind of silly and they both are going for the same prices. And it's just like, man, you could really do whatever you want out here.
Yeah, I think it's honestly inspiring. Um, but sometimes though, I'll like see things and I'm just like, okay, maybe we took this a little too far. Um, yeah, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's pretty good, pretty good.
What does inspiration look like to you? What kind of things inspire you now versus like what inspired you when you were younger? Is there like any crossover or what does that look like for you?
When I was younger, I kind of romanticized being an artist, so I thought like you had to be inspired by like all these deep things and like you had to like know specific artists and like all these things. But now I've been more inspired by like everything. So just like everyday experiences that people go through, or like things that you would recognize, or that you see. Those are like the most inspiring thing to me because I kind of like the idea that like everybody sees these things and we kind of think they're mundane, but they're so like deep in our minds that if you saw a painting of it that you'd go like, oh my god, like that brings back a memory because like you see it all the time but to you it's nothing. But if it's a painting, it kind of changes how you view it, and it kind of makes you feel it kind of makes you feel nostalgia in a way. So I kind of do that right now. I think that the idea is so cool. Like a lot of my paintings recently have just been like focus on situations that people were involved in, or things that you would just see, but you wouldn't necessarily think, oh man, that would be a cool painting. But I make a painting anyways.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that. What kind of a role does nostalgia play for you? What kind of things do you get nostalgic about?
Um, Honestly, everything. Like I know most people would consider nostalgia as like things from everything that I see on a day-to-day basis. So like seeing someone like on the floor surrounded by money around them or something, like I've seen that a lot of times. Or I'm trying to think. Like I'm working on one painting right now. It's like a baby shower, and then somebody got like a Burberry shirt on. Like stuff like that is just nostalgic to me because I see it so much, and I don't know. I like the thought of seeing that in paintings. It just makes things feel more closer to home and more personal.
Yeah, totally. Do your pieces evolve your feelings on your own pieces? Do they?
Mm, nah, nah. Honestly, bro, I be like geeking out over my pieces. Like every time, every time I see them, the more I see them, I'm just like, man, I'm such a good artist. Like I just, I just look at them, and I think the more time passes, the more I like it because I kind of forget the headspace that I was in at that time to even make it. So I don't even think I could replicate the pieces that I made back then. Um, and I
Totally.
don't know, yeah. So the more I look at them, the pieces that I made in the past, I'm kind of like, man, I appreciate it even more because I think, um, depending on where I am in life, that kind of dictates what I can and can't make. So if I was sad at that time, I can't make another painting when I'm happy, like the same painting when I'm happy. So it's kind of like that. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a liberating feeling to look back at old artwork and be like, damn it, it holds up. Like it stands the test of time. Because I feel like a lot of times, especially if you are your own biggest critic, it's like it's easy to just kind of pick things apart. So it's like if you have things that you can just always look back on, like,
Hmm.
damn, I did that. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, honestly, it's weirder when people like actually remember my paintings because um well, because usually when I post something, I kind of have this thought in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is just a post. People will probably forget about it, like they'll like it and everything. But then it's like a year later, someone will bring it up, and I'm like, damn, you remember that? And
Yeah,
it's such a cool feeling. And then when I look back on it and I think about what they told me, I'm like, man, that's actually really cool. Like I really did good on this piece.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. At what point in your creative journey did your like style start to emerge? Because you definitely have one of, I feel like, the most consistent styles, even though your imagery varies. Like you've got a really like potent style.
Mm, I would say like in 2020, because before that I was like really, really into realism. I was like obsessed with
Mhm.
realism because I was always told that like if you had like the most technical skill, then you were like a true artist or whatever. Um, but it didn't really make me happy, and I had uh I had been taking a long break at that time, so I thought to myself, well, I might as well make something for fun. And so back in high school, I would always do these like faces, like these squiggly faces. You can kind of see them in my paintings now, like the kind
Mhm.
of yeah, those types of faces. So I always draw them. I don't know why. I just always drew them because they were fun to draw. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool to like turn that into like a painting. And then I made my first one. It was called Relief. It's the one with the pink background. Do you know which I'm talking about?
I'm searching for it right now.
Let me see if I can find it. But I made that one in like 2020, and then yeah, I got like a lot of good feedback from it, which I was surprised. And then ever since then, I was just kind of like, oh man, I need to. Oh, you already added it. Oh yeah, ever since then, I was kind of like, man, I need to keep doing this because it looks so cool. And then yeah, I just kept doing it, and working it, and then I eventually started turning it into like its own world. And yeah, now it's here, and now I'm trying to get back more into realism because I think like it kind of depending on how you do it, there's a lot more personal connection. Like the cartoonish style is cool, but I think it's not as personal and closer to the audience as as the cartoon stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. I also think that going between the two styles, going between cartoonish and going back into realism, it builds like a really kind of organic flow between the two. And then
Hmm.
people start to see you kind of regardless of whichever one of those styles is. It's cool to just like watch people's creativity develop in that way, you know?
Yeah, totally. Like it's dope because I hate being put in a box. So I, anytime I can like kind of defy people's expectations of what they've already seen, I try to do that. And I think like the realism kind of is like that because I don't tend to post it or do work a lot with it. So whenever I do, I feel like it hits harder. And I think when you do something too much, people get they kind of expect it, and then it just doesn't hit the same. But when you always come with something different and like try to change it in different ways, it's more impactful in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Is there anything that you want to try in the near future, like medium wise, or any new things that you're looking to do? Any like scale? Are you trying to go big? Stuff like that?
Yeah, bro. Like I wanna get like a studio so I can do like a huge painting. Like I want to do a type of painting where I spend like years on it, or like a year or 2 years, whatever. But I want to like take a long time because most of my paintings, almost actually, nah, let me not say that. I think every single painting that I've made, I haven't spent more than like a week or two on it, like
Mhm.
painting. So that's like the longest I've painted, and in my opinion, they've come out good. So in the back, I'm always thinking like, damn, imagine if I had spent a year on this, or imagine if I spent 2 years on this. Imagine like how good this would be. So I'm obsessed with that. I want to do sculpture. I've been really obsessed with that. Um, I want to get into more other mediums, but I I'm waiting for now because I like to do things and focus on things one at a time. So if I'm gonna try to do film, I would like want to do everything with my art first before I get into something like film. So yeah, sculpture and really big works are the two things that I'm like focusing on right now though.
Speaking of film, what kind of media do you consume? Do you like TV, movies? Do you read? You got art books. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I have like a lot of stuff, bro. I'm always watching films like I like watching Stanley Kubrick. David Fincher is really cool. Um, I like to watch like films and like shows for like their color palettes and like just the cinematography. Like, um, for instance, damn, I forgot this guy's name, but there's like this one cinematographer. He worked with he worked on Blade Runner 2049. He's like one of my favorite cinematographers. It's like I think it's called like Robert something, but like his color palette is insane. And whenever I look at it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at those. And then I get a lot of inspiration from that. I have a lot of art books, but they're not typical art books. So I'll get art books about anything. I'll get art books about like fashion. Um, I have a bunch of shoe books. So I have like books that kind of show the history of sneakers and like all this stuff because I love sneakers. I have books about album covers because I feel like album covers are really impactful, and I like the emotion and kind of how it kind of like lures you into listening to a song or an album. And so I kind of try to study that and figure out like what about this image makes people attracted to it. Like there's certain album covers that I see and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna listen to that album. But then there's others where I'm like, damn, that album cover is amazing. So I mostly have stuff like that, and I think that's it for now. And I also have stuff about other artists, like Basquiat. Uh, I want to get the Virgil Abloh book. I want to get this new Jenny Seville book. I'm just trying to like make a collection at this point. I have a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. What kind of a role does fashion play in your life?
bro, I've been into fashion since I was a kid. Um, and I think like the older I get, my parents always told me it was gonna be a phase. Like, oh yeah, you like it right now, but the older you get, you'll get over it. And it's like, but the older I get, the more I love it. I don't. I feel like fashion. I just love appreciating all types of art, and like fashion is so cool because I think it's the only type of art where everyone can kind of participate in it. Like fine art is cool, but I think sometimes not everyone. It's not easily accessible to everyone. Same thing with like making films or music or whatnot. But like with clothes, everyone wears clothes, and I think the ability to kind of show who you are and show like your personality just through clothes is so cool to me. And I just love how impactful it is. And it's like even when you're watching films, the clothing that a character wears impacts how you perceive them. If you see a painting, the clothing the person wears in the painting impacts the whole vibe of the painting. If you look at artists when they're performing, the clothing that they wear during the performance impacts the whole thing. Sometimes it can make or break it, like Lady Gaga is a great example of that. So it's just so cool that clothing and fashion impacts everything so much. And I like the idea of that and like how even though we don't people don't realize it, that it's such a huge it just has huge significance to everything that we do on a day-to-day basis. I just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in like interpersonal relationships, it's like you can tell a lot about just like the people around you based on the way that they present themselves with their clothing. Like it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, even now, like I've noticed, because of social media, there's like different groups of I don't even know what you call them, like fashion forward people. So there'll be like people who specifically wear this type of style, like I'm Leon Dior, and then there'll be people that wear only Rick Owens, and there'll be only people that wear like tech wear, and then there's only people that wear pastel colors or dress a certain way. And it's so funny to me how they express themselves and find community just through clothes too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to see it. It feels like I don't like almost like a video game in a non-dystopian kind of way. Everyone's just like a little video game character, and it's cool to see like people collect together and like become groups, like little factions. I don't know. I think that it's hilarious and interesting. What sort of things motivate you? Is there a difference between motivation and inspiration for you?
Mm, oh yeah. Yeah, there is motivation. Um, I gotta be really into something to be motivated to do it, which is it is a bad thing because I'm for instance, I'm a full-time artist right now, and like I've thought about, going back into the workforce, but I'm generally not motivated enough to like put all my effort into like a job that I don't care about. Um, and I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm right there
bad.
with you on that.
It's bad because like I'm a hard worker, but it's just for some reason like my motivation kind of determines everything, like how invested I am into things, and it's so I can be inspired to do a job by somebody. Somebody could be like, oh, this is like a really good opportunity, and like the way they talk about it inspires me. But then it's like once I actually started, I'm not even motivated because my heart really isn't in it. Um, so those are really two different things. Like with art, I'm motivated every day. Like I could make a painting every single day for the rest of my life if I had the opportunity to. Um, because I'm just that motivated. Like I wake up thinking about art, go to sleep thinking about art. My whole life revolves around art. I'm always talking about art. Like it's just it never stops. Ever since I was a kid to now, that's all I've been talking about. Everybody knows me my entire life as an artist. It's basically it's made me who I am. So that kind of shows that I'm motivated by that, but um I haven't been inspired. Uh, I think inspiration is more like what's a good example of inspiration? Like for instance, if I watch like a really really cool movie, right, and I'm like, oh man, this Wes Anderson movie is really cool. I would love to like do a movie like him. But if I start the movie and I'm not motivated and my heart isn't in it, then yeah, I can't. I can't do it. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a hard time like calling yourself off of something that you're not inspired to do? Like if you have an idea and you like in the moment you're like, "Oh man, I really want to try this." And then you start trying it, you realize your heart's not really in it. Is it easy for you to just be like, "Okay, I'm just going to shelf this for a while," or do you get attached to your like tangential ideas, if that makes sense?
No, I get attached like a lot. I hate giving up on ideas. Um, I used to when I was younger because I always thought like, okay, I could just do this later. And I would always make an excuse for myself, like, oh, I got school or oh, I got work. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. So, but now, um, since I finished school, I feel like it's a disservice to myself to not just do it immediately because I got to get these ideas out. Like I don't know how much time on earth I have. So I as much time as I have, I got to make the best use of it. So if I have the time to work on a painting and make it and finish it and put it out there, um, I'm gonna try to put it out there. I don't try to wait on my ideas anymore like I used to because I just if I have the motivation right now, I think that would be the best time because if I lose the motivation later, like I said, I probably won't invest my time into it.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. And I think it's good that you chase your motivations because I think a lot of people don't always have that like pick up and go, but it's like you said, like life is finite. So it's like if you really want to, I don't know, feel fulfilled, for me at least, if I want to feel fulfilled, I kind of have to go after anything that my heart is calling me to do, which is usually art of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. But I try to be realistic with it though, because I know in my position, I'm kind of like blessed to even be able to do that. I know a lot of people, they're in situations where they can't realistically just, oh, I want to be an artist, so I'm going to be an artist. Like, people got bills and stuff like that, and they might not have
Totally.
they might not have a source of income to fund their lifestyle or like pay for bills and shit like that. So like I understand. So I try to be realistic with it, but yeah, at the end of the day, like I always try to remember like my end goal is this, and I'm only everything that I do is working towards that. I try not to get like stuck into things, but I think having like a really good friend group and support system helps with that. Because sometimes if you're doing things to get to the next level or next stage of your life, you get kind of discouraged. So you kind of need like the people to be like, "Yo, don't give up," or like, "Yo, no, keep going, please keep going." Because honestly, if I didn't have that, I don't think I would have gotten that far, or even I wouldn't be painting right now.
Yeah, man, I'm happy you said that because I think that having a like a core support system is probably the biggest one of the biggest assets in any game that you're trying to play. Like if we're trying to be creative people, like we're gonna need people in our corner that we can actually trust because it's like it gets relentless out here.
Bro, what? Yeah, like I had to learn the hard way, like to never chase something that's not for you. Cause oftentimes like when you're desperate and like, you're really down, you try to do anything possible to kind of get to your goals. But I've learned that you just gotta let those things come to you. Like if you just keep putting in the work, the right people will come to you. Like it shouldn't be you reaching out to people all the time. Like you can if the opportunity arises, but I think like you are going out your way to be like, oh yeah, please help me, or like the please do this is not always the best way to go about things. I think as long as you just keep going, things will kind of come to you. What is that thing called? I think it's called the law of attraction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that. I think that's how things should be. If the people who mess with your stuff and gravitate towards it will just will find you eventually.
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of what we do has a lot to do with luck, but we can also engineer our own luck by, like you said, just showing up every day and being part of it and being dedicated to your creations and like believing in yourself more as much as you want whoever else to believe in you. You know what I mean? Because yeah, like trying to chase something, just always chasing is not a good way to feel fulfilled.
Yeah, it makes you really discouraged. But I don't know. I feel I don't really even believe in luck like that. I think the only time someone could be considered lucky is like when they're born, but after that, everything is just kind of it's kind of really up to you. Well, after okay, let me not say that. After you're conscious, like you're conscious of like your surroundings and stuff, then it's like up to you. But everything before that, yeah, that's luck. But I think everything after is kind of like up to you. So, for instance, people will be like, "Oh, I got this opportunity because of luck," but whenever they tell me stories of like how they succeeded or how they got something, it's never really luck when you think about it because you didn't just meet this person randomly. Like you knew someone in that friend group, which you consciously chose to be friends with that person because you had the common things. So obviously you would meet someone who also shares common interests and likes the same thing that you did that would be able to help you and get you to that next level. You know what I mean? I don't really even think things like that are luck. Um, yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
No, I like that perspective. I think that that's a much more appreciative way to look at good circumstances. And I think, at least for myself, this is something that I'm just thinking about now, but it's like I attribute luck to just like not necessarily expecting something. And so it's like it's easy to just throw the word luck on there, but you're right. It's never just like it's people usually talk about like an overnight celebrity. It's like this shit didn't really happen overnight. It's like it took 10 years before things happened overnight. So yeah, no, I think you have a good perspective about that.
Yeah, I think it kind of downplays your achievements too, because imagine working so hard and you're just kind of just throwing things out there, hoping something comes back at you. Like it's not like the definition of insanity or something. Like, oh, if you keep doing the same thing and you keep getting the same negative results, like you're insane, right? Like, so why would someone purposely do that and call it luck when you could, but if you really think about it as if like you're doing these things for a reason, then it makes more sense. But I think calling it kind of luck kind of downplays everything that the person did to get there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more like a reward than getting lucky. It's like we do it. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about because being an artist is a deeply emotional kind of career choice or endeavor in general. And so we don't have the usual like metrics of like social status to sort of describe how we're doing. You know what I mean? So it's easy to just kind of throw things like, oh, this person got lucky, or oh, this person is talented. But it's like there's a lot of skill and preparation and a whole world that goes into it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you're right. There's not like a lot of metrics, so I kind of understand why people would say, "Oh, yeah, it's luck," because they don't get it. You know, there's a lot of people that will probably see like an abstract painting and be like, "Oh, a 5-year-old could make this," you know, and then they're just like, "Well, they're just lucky. They're just lucky," but they don't really understand the history and like the context of everything to understand why a person might be more successful than someone else. So I get that.
Do you feel fulfilled as an artist? What does fulfillment look like for you?
I saw Surf laughing. I don't I don't, bro. I'm not fulfilled. I don't even know what fulfillment is. You know, that's
Yeah,
a
that's
really
a
good
tough one.
question. That's a good question. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm young right now, so I feel like I'm at that stage where like, even if I, even if our something really good was happening, I don't think I would be fulfilled until like after the fact, until like I look back and reminisce, like, oh man, I did good then. But in the moment, I'm never present in the moment, which is a bad thing. So I'm never like as fulfilled as I should be. Um, I think anyone who's like close to me like would know that because I'll one day I'll probably do something really cool, and then the next day I'm like, ah, I suck, and I'm just so I'm never fulfilled. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm never fulfilled.
No, I think that's a real part of being an aspirational artist. Like if you there's this thing I feel like that we all sort of chase and we can't quite put our finger on it. And so it's like no matter what we create, no matter what the scale is, there's always sort of a next step. in a lot of our minds. I can't speak for everybody, but I can definitely feel you when you say that like that fulfillment is a hindsight thing because yeah, when you're in the moment, it's just like you're on go. It's hard to even think about like, am I content? Like that's it's not even really in the question.
Yeah. Also, I think sometimes it can be how you're raised. Like anyone with like island parents or immigrant parents knows this very well. I mean, you can also, I think American parents are like this, depending on like what type of parents you have. But sometimes like you'll do a huge accomplishment and you'll show your parent, they'll be like, man, you could have done better. Like you're never pleased. So you kind of grow up thinking, okay, like I could do better, I could do better. And I was kind of like raised like that in a way. So anytime I do something, I'm always thinking I could do better, I could do better. So I never know what is when I'm doing good. And like you said before, with like art, there's no metric of like numbers and like that kind of determines your success. So it's like at when would I need when would I be considered successful? I don't know. I could probably have like $2 million tomorrow and I'd still be like, now I'm not fulfilled because I don't know. It's a really bad thing now that I'm saying it out loud because I it makes you sound kind of ungrateful. But I think I'm trying to work on that so I'm not always kind of upset about where I'm at in the position that I'm in.
I definitely relate to that. It's a balance between wanting more and appreciating what you have. And I think as long as you can kind of tread that line between both of them, it doesn't fall into the territory of a bad thing per se. Like I feel like you're just more aspirational maybe than people who can't relate.
Yeah, I think that might be the thing too. It's because oftentimes I try not to go too deep into like all my aspirations for the future. Because when you say those things now, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's like I'd rather just prove it and like do it than just say it because I think actions speak louder than words. So I think that also comes into play as well because the goals that I have for myself, like people can't really envision what I have in my head and like they don't know what I'm capable of yet. So I think that might also be the case. Like I know art is cool, but I'm trying to even like go bigger than that. So sometimes it feels like, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not yet there yet. I'm not fulfilled yet. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. Um, so yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, I've shared a handful of pieces up at the top. Would you be down to pick a couple of them and talk about maybe either the process or how you're feeling about them, how you feel about them now, how you felt about them while you were making them?
Oh hell yeah, it's my favorite part. I love talking about my pieces. So let's see. Okay. So the if I ain't got you, I got nothing, which is on the third slide. Um, that piece I made, it's a part of my like Dimitri Fridays drop, which is like a drop that I do every week on Fridays, and I put them up for sale for like 150, so people can um everyone is like able to get it. I like to try to make my work accessible. So for one of the pieces, I made this. Um, so I try to focus on like black experiences for the paintings, or not just black experiences, but just my own personal black experience. If other people can relate to it, then they do. And it's this dude getting a haircut. The original photo I referenced the movie Quinn and Slim. Have you ever seen that one?
No, I have not.
You know that?
I'm
Oh,
writing
what?
it down now.
Yeah, it's a movie called Quinn and Slim. I think it was directed by Lena Waithe, and it's like about this. I don't think they were a couple. They're not a couple. But this man and this woman. I think they accidentally kill a cop or something. And they become wanted, and so then there's one part in the scene where the dude has to like shave off his hair because I think he had like an afro. So to kind of change his personality, he had to cut off his hair. And I saw the picture, but the picture didn't look like that in the scene. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of recontextualize the meaning of it because it just looked like he was just getting a regular haircut from a barbershop, which is like something that everyone can relate to and everyone's seen. And like I said before, I try to focus on things like that and like and make it feel like a nostalgic way. Um, I really like the colors and the work, and so I painted that one. I kind of changed it up a bit so you can kind of see like on the face. I kind of do the squiggly thing that I was talking about, like the gestures, and I
Hmm.
kind of yeah. So it fits like my style a bit. So that's all I got to say about that one. Let me see. What else did you add here?
Feel free to share titles of pieces, and I can search them as well if you have any in mind that you'd like to talk about.
Okay. You could talk. I could talk about the Block is Hot one because that one I mentioned like on Super Rare like a few weeks ago. So that was like um. Let me see. Okay, so therapy session, which is on the second slide. It is so I wanted to paint women more, especially black women, because a lot of my work before was just black men, because I thought that I didn't have enough knowledge and like uh, on how to portray women. Because if I was gonna paint them, I wanted to do it the right way. I didn't want to paint them in like an over sexualized way or in a way that doesn't really relate to them. I think that's just kind of like a disservice to them and everything. So in this painting, I painted a black woman at a therapy session, and I kind of painted her like in an uncomfortable position to kind of show that she's like nervous and stuff. Um, with this painting, I did the painting after I had a conversation with my girlfriend because, like I was saying, I wanted to paint black women in like a way that they'd want to be represented. So I had a conversation with her, and I was asking her like all these things, like how would black women want to be portrayed? Like what's missing from the portrayal of like black women and all these things like that. And then yeah, I just kind of combined everything that I learned. Well, not everything, but like a few elements and made this painting. So the painting in the background is actually another painting that I did. So I cut it out and I stacked the painting on top of that painting. So the people that went to my art show like last week probably saw it in person. And for this painting, I also like try to play a lot with textures. So the dreads in her hair, they're actually like dried up paint from like my palette. So like I ripped it up, kind of like twisted it like an actual dread, and then like
Okay.
I stuck it onto the canvas. So when you look at it, it looks like a dread, like it looks like a freeform dreads, like a nappy dread or something.
That's amazing. I really love
Thank
the
you.
concept of that piece. Could you talk about some of the important women in your life? Do you have other influential women in your lifetime?
Um, my mom, my sister, my girlfriend, and just like the other women that are my friends, like they inspire me a lot, and they're I'm glad that they're open enough to like tell me and like about their experiences and open up about it. So a lot of times I'll just like ask them like, oh, you know, how was your day? And they'll tell me like how this thing made them feel, and I'll just think about that, and I'll be like, damn, like I never thought about something like that. For instance, like I was having one conversation with a friend, and they were talking about how they feel like sometimes even though they work really hard to prove that they're they're a great artist, uh sometimes people kind of assume that like they kind of expect them to dumb themselves down because of they're a women like a woman. And every time I paint now I kind of think about that, especially like when painting women, because sometimes it may not even be on purpose, but sometimes men can kind of dumb down their depictions of women and make them seem kind of like more of a, oh, they're just there but they're not really present in that situation. There's no like uh there's no relatability to it. And ever since then, every time I try to like paint a woman, I always think to myself, okay, like how would this actually connect with a woman if they saw this, you know? So yeah, those people inspire me a lot with it when I'm making things like that.
That's awesome. Thank you for going on that tangent for me.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and then the last piece that you put up, the green one, will they still love me when I'm down? That's also a part of my Dimitri Fridays series thing that I do every Friday. And that one, it's more of a local thing because I'm from like the South Florida region. So like if you ever seen like Kodak Black or like any other like Florida rapper, they tend to do this pose, like the pose in the painting, and usually like they'll put like money around them or money on like their leg and stuff. And so I thought that was a really cool image, and it was the same thing. Like I kind of wanted to recontextualize it, the image, because the original image, it's I don't know where I got that thing from. I just saw it randomly, but the person is wearing Joe Fresh Goods collab with New Balance, and yeah, New Balance. So I saw that and I was like, oh man, I could like really contextualize this and stuff. So with that one, I was thinking about like how when people are on their way up, to success and everything, sometimes like you kind of have to give up a lot for that, and sometimes people change as well, and the person kind of looked like they were sitting down. I thought that's kind of like a cool image, like to kind of show like you're you're up but you're down at the same time, and so I called it "Will They Still Love Me When I'm Down?" Because I thought to myself, when people are in that situation, like if they needed help, and they're the breadwinner, and everyone around them is looking for them or to them for help, would they still be able to get help from the people around them? So I just kept thinking about that when I was painting it, and that's why I called it that.
That's a sick concept. I really like that piece. The composition to that one is really alluring to me. It's like it's hard to look away from.
Yeah, bro, like that's such a big. I'm glad you said that because composition is like my number one thing. Like every time I talk about paintings, I'm always like, yo, I'm a sucker for composition. Like if the composition ain't it, I don't want to see it. Like I feel like
Mhm.
if you have a sick composition, you can make any painting like amazing. And it doesn't even matter like if it's detailed or if it's not really detailed. It's just always looks good as long as the composition is good, and I always do that. So like I'll play with perspectives and like if I don't know if you look at all my paintings, you can kind of see how much effort I put the most attention to the composition, and everything else is kind of like, it takes a back seat to it.
Yeah, it works because like the motion and all of your I feel like the the like immediate eye patterns that I make when I'm looking at your art tell the story of the piece like very quickly. And I think that that's cool. That's not something that I necessarily see in a lot of pieces.
Yeah, oh man, thank you. I appreciate that because that's insane you're saying that because I always think about that when I'm making it. Like I want people's eyes to move a certain way when they're looking at things. Like for instance, with the block is hot, right? When I made it, I was thinking about like what's the first thing the person's probably gonna see? It's probably gonna be like the bubble gum because the bubble gum originally was gonna be there, but I wanted something to kind of like pop literally like, and I wanted it to pop because you know how bubble gum will eventually pop, and I thought that was kind of a cool like contrast with like the gun like popping out and everything. And so I noticed like okay, they'll probably look at the gum and then they'll look at the rings and they'll probably see the face and then want to zoom in on the face and then they'll go down to the body, like go down from the body and then they'll see the smoke. And then from the smoke they'll go down to the barrel of the gun, see the hands, and go to the other side of the painting. It's like it's always in my mind. So like I kind of do it on purpose. So I'm glad to see that you said that.
Yeah, man, it totally shows. Can you talk about the block is hot, but in a few ways? One, I want to hear about your journey to super rare and what NFTs have been like for you. And then I also just want to hear just like about the piece a little bit more. I like that we are on the same page with the motion. I think that that's really cool. And it's fun to hear you talk about it and then follow it with my eyes.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Okay, so my journey to super rare, oh man, that was tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I honestly thought they rejected me because I had applied a while ago, like I think like a year, almost 2 years ago. I applied multiple times though, but I forget how many times, honestly. I think it was like two or three. Um, so I thought they weren't gonna apply, not apply, but I thought they weren't going to reply to me. So I stuck with at the time in the beginning, I stuck with OpenSea and Foundation later on, and I kind of just stuck with those. Um, I knew about NFTs for a minute, but I didn't get into it until like the start of 2021, so like early 2021, like late 2020, because
Mhm.
Sean Williams, he's another artist in the NFT space. He was like trying to convince me, like, yo, you need to get into NFTs, like your stuff will like go crazy there, and I was like. So I thought he was just hyping me up. So I was like, whatever. And he would just constantly tell me like, bro, you should like get into NFTs. You should get into NFTs. And I'm like, all right, I'll mint something. So like I minted something on OpenSea, and then like the same day somebody bought it, and I was like, oh shoot, okay. And so so then um, after the person bought it, I guess they showed someone else my work, and then another collector wanted to buy it, and they were like, "Oh, if you put something up, then I'll buy it." And I was like, "Yeah, right." So I didn't believe him. Also because like you have to pay gas fees. So I was like, "Ah, this is kind of risky." I don't know. But I did it anyways. I was like, "Why not?" So then I did it, and they immediately bought it too. And I was like, "What the hell?" So then before that, I wasn't really selling my work for that much ever. You know what I mean? So like seeing that was kind of my eyes was like wide open, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, because they were originally telling me, Sean was originally telling me that like it's a great way to kind of make money outside of the gallery system because it's very sometimes it can be very elitist, and
Hmm.
it's there's a lot of barriers to entry um and other things too. Like you might get an art job or whatever, but sometimes they don't pay that well. So he was like, it's the best way to make money off of your paintings, and like there's such a big community and they're nice. And I was like, oh wow. And so after that, I actually started getting more invested into the community. I think that's actually how I met you. Like I think we was in a group chat together, like in the beginning, like way back, like way
Yeah,
back.
ages ago.
Yeah, like ages ago, and I remember seeing your work, and I was like, "Oh shoot, this dude's sick." And so I got more invested into that, and I'll just keep minting. Um, and he would just kept buying it, and I kind of like used that money to fund it into like my physical work too, because a lot of my work is physical. Well, not all a lot, but all of my work is physical. So I used it to fund my Smile More tour that I was gonna do. Um, I used it to like make bigger paintings. Like that's how I was able to do the block is hot, which is like it's 59 inches by like 63 inches on canvas. So I used that money to do that. And yeah, it kind of allowed me to become a full-time artist. Like that was one of my sources of income and on my like path to becoming full-time and being able to quit my job. Um, And so, yeah, and then fast forward like a year later, I get an email from Super Rare, and I thought it was a scam at first because at that time, a lot of people were saying, there's a lot of people getting scammed because of Super Rare, what yada yada. So then
Yeah.
I sent the screenshot of the email to my friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is like legit." And I was like, "Oh shoot, I actually made it on there." And I was shocked because I didn't think I was gonna get on there ever. I kind of accepted that I wasn't gonna get on there. So when
Hmm.
when I got the email, I was like, "Damn, what do I do?" Because I wasn't even expecting them to get me on there. And I had just finished the blog is hot, so I was like, "Oh man, this is perfect." And I thought like that'd be a great way to kind of introduce um Super Rare to the work of Dimitri Victor. But should I get into the meaning of the actual piece now, or?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so the piece, the block is hot. I made it. When was it? August. Yeah, I finished it sometime August, and I made it because one day I walked outside and it was hot as hell, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I live in Florida, South Florida, so it was hot. It was like 110 degrees because of the humidity, and I was
Hmm.
just pissed off. Like I was so mad because it just didn't make any sense why it was that hot. I felt like God was playing a sick joke on me or something. So then I got curious. Um, and I googled like, oh, does the heat affect your mood? Because I was just so pissed off. So then I found out that it did. So if you're in like those types of conditions, sometimes your mood can change. And I also found out that crime rates and murder rates go up during the summer too, right? And I was like, oh shoot, that's kind of crazy, you know. And I wanted to make a painting about that to kind of show like the the contrast, like how people are all having the time of their lives. They're flexing and like they're just walking down the street having fun and all this stuff, minding their own business. But then people are also like getting killed and everything while this is all happening. And I thought that was like it'd be like a cool thing to kind of show in a painting because it's like I said, it's kind of showing the narratives that I want to speak on that people not might not necessarily know or ever think about, but they people see it happen. It's just never spoken on. And I thought that'd be a cool way um to kind of show it without actually showing a person being dead or dying. I still wanted to show a cool I still wanted to show the black person in a cool way, in a way that would show them as being respectable and like, like when you see them, you're like, oh shoot, like this is a cool person. But I didn't want to,
Yeah.
yeah, but I still wanted to show like the violence that would be happening around that time as well. So that's why I made the painting to kind of show like that dichotomy of summer in a way, of like how there's so much violence, but there's so much fun at the same time.
That's amazing. Honestly, yeah, I love all of your concepts. That's definitely one of my favorites. It's sick to see what
Thank you.
you can accomplish on like such a large scale. So I definitely look forward to seeing what happens when you go bigger.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I wanna just do more bigger pieces, but with like a lot going on. I love those types of pieces when you're looking at it. There's so much going on. Like you spend like an hour, you can spend like a good hour looking at it. The block is hot is cool, but at the same time, I think it gets straight to the point. So once you've seen everything in the painting, you can kind of just go on to the next. But like my next goal is to kind of make something where you have to look at it like over and over and over again. And the more you look at it, you can always find something new. That's why I kind of want to spend like a year or months on a piece right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then I feel like that way, if you're spending a whole year on it, it's like your life is developing as the piece is developing. So it's almost impossible to not have an experience that you could look at for a whole year and see something new every day, you know?
Yeah, exactly. My only worry is like I hope I don't get unmotivated like throughout that year. Um, because a year is a long time, man. That's 12 months. That's like
Yeah,
52
definitely.
weeks. Oh my gosh.
Do you just do one piece at a time?
Yeah, yeah, because I don't know, I feel like I get distracted easily. I remember how I
Mhm.
was saying I get hyper focused on like one thing. So if I start a piece and I try to work on multiple pieces at the same time, I'll be hyper focused on too many things and I won't know what to do. So like I might wake up one day and then there's like five paintings in front of me and I'll just be kind of like overwhelmed with the choices and not know what to do. Because if I see more paintings that are unfinished, it just makes me feel like, okay, I haven't done anything. Whereas if I do one thing and finish it, I feel more accomplished because I feel like I actually finished it.
Yeah, totally. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so we are pulling up around the hour mark. I definitely want to open it up to the audience if anybody wants to come up and ask Dimitri a question. You are more than welcome to request, and we can go ahead and get you up. Um, Dimitri, trying to think, do you have anything that you want to say to artists out there in general?
Like what do you in what way? Like just anything in general
If you could
or
say
what?
anything to artists in general, yeah, what would it be? Even if it's just like a fleeting thought or something that you think is important. If you had any one thing to say.
Well, since we're talking about NFTs, I'll probably just like speak about it and about like stuff that I've seen in NFT space. I guess like ch focus on your own lane. Like don't worry about what other people are doing. If even if someone else is doing something and it's working for them, that doesn't necessarily you mean you need to do that. Um, it's better to just stay in your own lane. Someone else's success doesn't mean your failure. So just because someone else is winning a lot doesn't necessarily mean that you're not gonna be winning later on. You know what I mean? And yeah, just keep being persistent. Focus on the end goal, which is like I mean, everybody has a different end goal, but always focus on the end goal and try not to worry about what others are doing. Like I said, just stay in your lane. If you focus on your lane, the people that like your work and resonate with it they will come to you. Like you won't need to reach out for them. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I guess to people in the NFT space and other artists.
Amen to that. I agree wholeheartedly. All right, I got Cliff up on the stage. Do you have a question for us, bro?
Yeah, I do got a question,
Yeah.
but first I just want to give Demi his flowers, yo. He's undoubtedly one of the goats in this space for real, and just the art space in general. His work, his concepts, man. You're just dope, and I just want you to know that. But my question is, are you ever gonna jump back into making those figures like you did?
Yo, you're like the 20th person to ask me this. Listen, okay, I want to, but let me break down the cost so more people can kind of understand how expensive this was to do. All right, so the figurines that I made, they're originally like 14 inches tall. Like that's like with including the hair, and that's not even including the box. So the box is huge, right? So for me to have done that, like so originally I had paid to mass produce it and I put it on pre-order, but then when the toys came, all the shipments broke, so I didn't have anything. I only have one toy right now, which is the original model, and that's it. And so the cost of like making those and shipping it over here was $10,000 to make. So I lost $10,000 because of that. Um, so I'd have to spend another $10,000 again doing that, and that's not even including like the cost of like um getting like graphic design or getting the programs to format everything correctly, or the time it took to like plan the whole rollout, or the time to make the original model. Because I had a vinyl toy, so with vinyl figurines, the less you make, the more it costs. But I was such a perfectionist. I focused more on like the feel and like how the toy looked, so I paid more for the vinyl. So just for that one model of that toy that I made, it cost like $800 to produce. So it's like the cost of it is just it piles up. So I I'll do it eventually, but I think the next time I'll probably try to get someone to sponsor me or like work with a company this time around, because it was a lot to put on myself. And when the toys broke, bro, like it crushed my spirit. I don't know if I could go through that heartbreak again. And I didn't have like they didn't even give my refund. Like they said they spent all my money making the toys, so they couldn't even give me any money back. So um, I I want to make the toys again, but I'll probably need to get like some type of like super plastic company or some other person trying to help me with it. If you know anybody, let me know. But for now, I'm putting that on hold because the cost of it is just it's too much. I'll probably just do like one of one figurines, though. I could do those, but for now, I'm not mass producing it.
Damn, I didn't even know all that, bro. That's crazy. $10,000 just gone.
Yeah, bro. Like
Damn.
I don't like bringing up the prices of it because people be pocket watching on here on this app. You know this, so it's like if I bring
Oh
up the
yeah, for
price,
sure.
like, if I bring up the price, people are like, "Oh, you got $10,000 to spend on toys, but you don't got $10,000 to do this and this and that. Like, you could have given that to charity, yada yada." I'm like, so I don't be saying anything, but that was like the honest truth of it all. It's like it's expensive to make those toys. Like, if I had made like 500 of those toys, it probably would have been cheaper doing it, but I was just so focused on like just making it and getting it out there because I thought that'd be like if I thought it was like a way to prove myself that if I did these toys on myself, then that a company would eventually see it and be like, "Oh, we want to work with you because these toys were such a success." But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah, hopefully I can do something later on with that. But for now, yeah, it's too much, man.
That's real, bro. I'm glad that you did open up and talk about how much that shit really does cost, because I think it goes into like the metrics of things. And like when you really think about how much it costs to execute an idea, like it can get kind of outrageous.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like people don't understand how much work we're putting in just to put in like to get these ideas out. Like the amount just think about the amount of work I had to sell and how much the commissions I had to do, like how many print sales I had to make, how many NFTs I had to sell, how many days I like went without sleep, trying to get the money just to do that. You know what I mean? It's a tough process. So that's why when people say, it's just art, like I kind of take it personally because it's way more than that. Like we're doing things that are impacting other people's lives for generations.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, bro, I appreciate you coming up. I don't know, I don't have any other requesters at the moment. I'll definitely give them some time, but I appreciate you coming up and answering all my questions. You've been a great guest, and this has been fun.
Appreciate you, Cliff. He a day one. I love Cliff.
Yeah, bro, big Cliff fan over here.
Love you too, bro. Shout out my Zoes.
I appreciate you. You see, he gets it. He gets it. Any other questions? Nobody got any other questions for me?
Going once.
I guess not.
All right, bro. Well, I think that we are probably safe to go ahead and close it down. Once again, I totally appreciate you coming up. It's been great talking to you.
Yo, you too. Thank you so much, bro. I love your work and I love everything you're doing.
Thank you, and likewise.
Well, all right. Good night. Everybody get home safe. Everybody safe. I love you all.
Bye.
Bye.